going on YouTube, and welcome to another tier list Tuesday. Today we are doing the skip tag tier list, and we are doing so taking into consideration the brand new update for Balatro. So some of these tags have been buffed, I feel like, quite dramatically, and I actually think Local Thunk did a fantastic job of balancing all these tags, so it's going to make this tier list a little bit more difficult. I know Balatro University already has done his version of this tier list, and I actually think I agree with quite a bit of that, but the tags have changed since then. We have a new patch, a new update, and I don't think these changes will get reverted, so I'm going to base this tier list off of the new skip tag. So without further ado, we're going to jump into it. First, we have the uncommon Joker tag, which forces an uncommon Joker into the shop, and the big difference now is this is free. For me, this uncommon Joker tag is going to go into the B tier. Having a free Joker in the shop that is uncommon is pretty solid. However, with the new uncommon Jokers now including things like Sixth Sense and Seance, which, you know, those are the ones that make spectral Jokers off of very specific circumstances. Uncommon Jokers, I feel like, have been debuffed. They're not as powerful as they were pre-patch. So it's not the end all be all. The other part of this, of course, is you're skipping a shop whenever you skip. So you're skipping the opportunity to see other Jokers now. A free Joker is fantastic. One other thing we have to take in consideration when talking about this new update in the patch is the new orange and gold stake, which have new tags to Jokers like perishables and rentals. And this uncommon Joker could have those. So despite being free, it could be perishable. It could be costing you $3 a round if it's a rental. It also could be eternal and not something you want. So at higher stakes, that orange and gold stake run, I also feel like these aren't the greatest. And once again, with these tier lists, we're trying to take into consideration everything. White stake through gold stake, all decks, high scores, and challenges. So all in all, it's a good skip tag. I don't think it's the end all be all, but I'll put it right there in the B tier list. Moving on, we have the rare tag, and this one, the next shop is guaranteed to have a rare Joker, and again, that is going to be free. I'm going to go ahead and put that in the A category. I think rares have seen a significant buff. Almost all rare Jokers now are pretty darn solid. There's a couple you don't want, like the Tribe, for example, or the Order, which gives you X-Mult for playing straights or flushes, and not really great X-Mult, but there's plenty of great rare Jokers. It's still a little bit of a chance, but the fact that you're getting it for free means that I'm skipping quite a bit for these rare Jokers. Again, I'm also trying to look at this tier list in the eyes of just tags versus other tags, because in general, I don't feel like I've been skipping a metric ton still. It is a little bit more worth it, especially early in the game, or let's say after the small blind when you get no money, anytime after the first stake difficulty. Anyway, the rare Jokers I feel like have been buffed. The pool is even better. The fact that they're free is even better. So I'm going to put all the way in the A tier, and right next to it, I'm going to go ahead and put the negative tag, which the next base edition Joker you find in the shop will be negative. And again, it will also be free in the new patch. This is fantastic. Again, an orange and gold stake, it could have some tags that you don't want, such as perishable and whatnot, but generally speaking, this is a fantastic tag, and the fact that you're getting a Joker, even if it's not the Joker you wanted, you could basically pick it up for free, and it's not taking up a slot, so you can almost 10 out of 10 times grab this, and it's going to be a benefit, albeit it could be a very tiny benefit or a really good benefit, but you are going to get some sort of benefit. Of course, the one thing to note with this, or like the holographic tag or the polychrome tag or the foil tag, it's the next base edition Joker in the shop. So you're not guaranteed to get a Joker in the shop. You may have to re-roll or wait another shop to grab it, which does make it a little bit less powerful than like the rare, but I am going to put it in the same category. Speaking of which, next we have the foil tag. Next base edition Joker is going to be foil. I think the fact that it's free is really the big buff here. The fact that it's foil, I don't really care too much. I'm going to go ahead and put it in the C territory. I love a free Joker, but the foil's not really a huge bump. It also could be a terrible common Joker. It could be a terrible uncommon or rare Joker. All in all, it's not that powerful, especially considering, again, negative, no matter what, you can absolutely pick it up. A foil, you have to make space for it on top of everything. So for me, it's downgraded to the C category. It's not bad. It still is a free Joker, but it's definitely not the end all be all. Moving down to holographic, we'll just go through all of these again. It is a free Joker. It's going to be holographic. I'm going to put this in the B territory just because early game, having the holographic Joker and just gain that 10 mult can be actually very viable. I think more important than just the 50 chips with foil. I don't think there's a huge difference, but I think there's just enough to create a tier difference. But basically everything I just said about foil applies to holographic. And then we have the Polychrome. And of course you get, again, a free Polychrome times 1.5 mult. Once again, B category. I think not huge difference between that and holographic. In my opinion, obviously Polychrome is much better. But the real benefit you're seeing here is having a free Joker that's going to be worth something and give you some kind of mult early or later in the game. All right, another one that has changed, and this description up here is not going to be completely accurate, is the investment tag, because now you get $25 after defeating the next boss blind. And while you do have to wait for this, I think it's become a lot more viable of a tag. $15 before, I still would somewhat grab it, especially ante 1 or maybe ante 2. Now if I see this ante 1, I almost always grab it. Yes, I don't want to lose a shot, but $25 maxes out your interest, and that's a huge deal. That means your interest has hit the cap and you can start spending money while making money by playing all the rest of the blinds. So one of these investment tags is massive. I think it makes sense to move it to the interest cap. I mean, it is investment tag after all. You're not even going to see the benefit right away of the money from skipping. You still have to beat a boss blind, so it's not easy, but it's a fantastic tag now. I think right here in that B territory, definitely utilize it again, ante 1, ante 2. Later on, maybe not so much, and that's why it's not A or S tier, but it is very solid. We have the voucher tag, which adds 1 extra voucher to the shop. This is going to be our first D tag, or D tier. I have a couple times found uses for this. I mean, especially let's say you're playing a face card build, the plant's coming up, you don't have Luchador, and you need to use this as a Hail Mary, hoping you get Director's Cut to reroll the boss blind. But pretty much other than that, or if you're just swimming in money, you don't want to do this. And even if you are swimming in money, it's much better to see a shop, be able to reroll Jokers, get the booster packs, than to just get an extra voucher that you still have to purchase. If they change this tag, I wouldn't say to be free like the Jokers, but maybe make this voucher half off or both vouchers half off. We can raise it to be a little bit more even with the other skip tags. But for now, for me, it's one of the worst vouchers. And it's really one of the only ones I just pretty much ignore and don't even contemplate when I see it. Next, we have rerolling the boss blind. And this is barely above D category just because there are times this can absolutely save you, but it's such a right place, right time where you actually do have a boss blind that you feel like you can't beat, and this tag has to show up right then. Most of the time, this is a useless tag that you're not going to waste anything on, especially if you have a bunch of double tags saved up, because the one thing with this, actually we're going to put in D tier. I just talked myself into it, because when you have double tags, this thing will eat it up. It will just re-roll it 6 times. If you're re-rolling the boss blind, you only need to re-roll once. This just wastes all your double tags if you have to use it. So that's a huge negative to it. On top of the fact that, again, right place, right time. I use this once, maybe every couple of weeks. I can't even remember the last time I've gotten it. Now, it can be useful. Again, same scenarios of the voucher tag. It's like, oh, the plant's coming up. I need to a last-ditch effort. I need to re-roll. Yeah, I'm going to. What are the chances that one of the 2 vouchers in your ante is a reroll boss blind when you need it? It's not very likely. It's not a great skip tag, in my opinion. So now we're moving on to the standard voucher, which you get a mega standard pack. Also in the D tier, mega standard packs, not that they're bad. Having a chance at getting a red seal card of your that you need, or a steel or glasses, is solid, but it's not worth skipping a blind for, because chances are there's a decent chance you would get some kind of standard pack in the shop amongst all the other benefits of the shop, amongst the other benefits of playing that round and gaining some money. So all in all, not a very good skip tag, and it's not one that's like, oh, okay, maybe utilize it early in the game, because early in the game this is definitely useless. Late game it's kind of useless. I would argue, I said these, I really didn't like. We're on a roll here. I think this might be my least favorite voucher. I just very rarely find time a time and place to use it. Maybe if you have hologram and your econ's hurting, that's it. That's really all I can think of. Next, we have Charm, which you get a Mega Arcana pack. I'll put this in the C tier. It's definitely a step above getting a Mega Standard pack because the Arcanas can really change the game for you, and it's rare to see a Mega Arcana pack. But all in all, again, for a lot of the same reasons I just mentioned, there's a decent chance you see an Arcana pack in a shop, and then, of course, all the other benefits of the shop, plus the benefits of playing around to gain some money via the end-around bonuses and your interest. So I don't want to be skipping often for it, but I do think it's in line with the foil tag, and I do think it's a clear step above these bottom three tags. And in general, a lot of times in these Arcana packs, since you get select two, maybe you can select one Temperance or one Hermit, and then something beneficial like a Death, a Fool, a Chariot, whatnot. So you usually can make some kind of money out of this, plus get a benefit. So not the end of the world. I don't mind using the Arcana packs. Meteor, immediately open a free Mega Celestial pack. Going into D tier. Yes, planet cards can be very useful. They can be very important. Do I want to be opening a Mega Celestial pack, wasting an entire shop to just do that? Absolutely not. No way. Especially considering that most of the time you only want one planet card. You're going to build your game towards one specific hand that you were playing one planet card. I don't even need two planet cards, so why do I need a Mega Celestial pack? Any Celestial pack will do in the shop. So basically everything I said again about this Arcana and Standard pack on steroids. This one you really do not want to skip for. It's just not worth it. I would argue maybe even the Standard pack has a little bit more to offer because it's a little bit more rare in terms of there's more things you could want in the Standard pack versus the Planet pack. But again, I'm not skipping 4 booster packs in the shop when I'm going to get 2 booster packs no matter what every time I go to a shop. So why am I skipping an entire shop to get 1 booster pack? There is certain time and places for all of these, but I rarely find a time and place for this Meteor skip tag. Next, we have the Mega Buffoon. This is a little bit of an exception. This is going all the way in the B tier because Antes 1 through 4, I think on high stake difficulty, this can be a lifesaver. You are getting 2 free Jokers from the Mega Buffoon pack. In fact, I'm going to put in 2 free Jokers. So all of these other ones give you 1 free Joker in one way or another. This one's giving you 2, which is fantastic. It's giving you 4 options, which is also fantastic. This is much different than these kind of booster packs, which, you know, they're helpful. A planet card's helpful. A nice enhanced card is helpful. Arcana packs and those tarot cards are helpful. Jokers are crucial to winning your runs at high stakes or, you know, continuing your game to get a high score or beating a challenge. And this is giving you 2 free Jokers. Now, sometimes you get 4 bad ones. It happens, but it is absolutely worth the risk. Another way to think about this is in the ideal shop, you don't get any tarot or planet cards in your top portion. Well, to see 4 Jokers, you still would have to reroll once. Standard, that's going to cost you $5 on top of the price of 2 Jokers to buy. So this is also saving you like anywhere between, you know, $12 and $17. So yes, you're going to miss out on money from not playing that round, but you're making it up by immediately getting 2 Jokers. And again, this can absolutely save a run. There's been times at high stakes, your back's against the wall, you can't get good Jokers. You're able to skip a Mega Buffoon and get, you know, something going. Maybe even just a lifeline, not even necessarily great Jokers. Handy gains $1 for each hand played this run. This is going to go in the B tier just because this can give you a metric ton of money. I've had even before Endless at times where this is giving me $75, $80. Of course, you want to see a shop, but sometimes it's just too hard to pass up that kind of money. It's literally just so powerful in the late game because oftentimes you've played so many hands, especially if you're playing a high card or a pair build, which require a few more hands. This can just skyrocket your economy and allow for, maybe you are trying to reroll for a certain Joker. Well, this will give you that backing to go into the next shop and reroll a metric ton. Of course, again, we want to see as many shops as possible, but if you're going to get $60 to $80 from this handy tag, you go ahead and take it. On the other side of the coin is the garbage tag. Gain $1 for each unused discard. Unless I'm playing a banner build or a delayed gratification build, which if I am playing that kind of high card build where I'm not discarding at all, oftentimes my economy is actually in an okay place. I don't need this, and rarely is it actually even giving me that much money, because if I'm not using those 2 cards, I'm discarding all the time, because you're trying to get gold cards out, or you're trying to get specific cards out. Even, again, if you're playing a high card repair build, there's certain cards that you want out just to, maybe make tarot cards. You got some purple seals. There's so many reasons to discard in this game. And really the only benefit would be is if you have specific jokers, again, like Banner, which gives you chips per unused discard, or delayed gratification, which gives you money if you don't use any discards. But outside of that, I'm using all my discards. So this is usually not giving me any money, on top of the fact that, you don't want to be skipping for money in general, because you want to be able to see more shops. Handy is the exception because of how much it can give you, or this investment tag, because you can use it early on to max out your economy. Okay, we're moving on to Eternal. Immediately open a free Spectral pack. Now this is caused a lot of debate, because Balatro University put this in the absolutely not worth it tier. And I kind of get it, because it's a basic Spectral pack. There's only 2 cards. What are the chances you open up a Spectral pack that only has 2 cards and you get something useful? I'm not going to quite put in D territory. I actually do think it's a step above all these, only because, when looking at those high score runs, or, some high stakes runs, this can be fantastic if you can get that cryptid. Maybe your economy is actually not in a good spot and you get a Wraith and you're able to create a free rare Joker. Maybe you get a Familiar that gives you a couple more enhanced cards to keep you going. Maybe you get an Ectoplasma, make a negative Joker. There is just more times I've found myself using this tag, especially, going after high scores, than any of these other ones. But that's the thing. You're probably saying, okay, well, it's going after high scores. Is that really worth putting in this C tier? And I say yes, because with these ones, I'm never using them. White stake through gold stake or high score runs, I'm not using them. This at least has a purpose. While the purpose may not be the super high gold and orange stake, there is a purpose in this game to use spectrals. And in my opinion, that's kind of for those super fun builds where you're trying to get an ectoplasm, or you're trying to get a cryptid to just push the game even farther and get an even higher score. Or again, maybe you're trying to do the challenge to get Stuntman unlocked and get that 1,000,000 point hand. Well, a spectral pack, if your game's already in a good spot, could be worth it. It's not super often, but I do think it is a step above, again, these other ones. So felt a little bit defensive there, but again, I think Balatro University has a very good explainer on why it's not worth it. I'm just trying to take into consideration everything, and I think there is sometimes it's worth skipping. Coupon. In next shop, initial jokers and booster packs will be free. Vouchers, rerolls, and jokers from rerolls keep their usual cost. I think due to that, it's kind of in the C tier. Yes, it's nice to have some free stuff in the shop, but so much of the new tags, including the rares and uncommons and negatives and polychromes, give you at least one free joker. This obviously gives you more for that. So, I mean, okay. Let me put in the B tier. It would seem silly to not put it at least even with these, but you are getting a guaranteed negative or rare with these A tier tags, or even uncommon with the uncommon tag. Very often you use this coupon and there's a chance you'll even have jokers in your shop. There's a chance you have 2 planet cards, a celestial pack, and a standard pack, and you're just hitting your head against the wall. Now, there's other times where you do have good jokers. It's a little bit of a risk. I don't think it's usually worth it because you're missing a whole other shop to then get a free shop. Again, I think there's a time and a place depending on where your economy is and maybe higher stakes. And I do use it a little bit more often than I use the rest of these. But I think it's at the very bottom of the B tier, very high C tier is kind of where I would put it. Double gives a copy of the next tag selected. Double tags are pretty solid. You can definitely utilize them, especially in fun ways. We're currently trying to use double tags in the Anaglyph deck to break the record number of jokers held for multiple rounds, which is currently held by Balatro University at 35. We have not gotten close to that number yet. I think our max is 24. But there's some fun things you can do with double tags, and I do find myself grabbing them a little bit more often than the rest of these, because if you stack up some double tags and you get a bunch of negatives, or maybe you stack up some double tags and just have a metric ton of money using it on a handy, there's some fun things to do there. Now, It's probably not usually worth it if you're just going for a win, but again, there's a time and a place for this in the game, and I think it's when you're trying to break it or go for super high scores or do maybe a very specific challenge. Other than being completely useless, again, like this D tier, I do have a time and a place for these double tags. But again, if you're just thinking about winning the game, white through gold stake, for all intents and purposes, this is probably D tier and this is probably D tier. But again, I'm trying to look at it a little bit more holistically. The Juggle tag, +3 hand size for the next round only. I put this pretty close to the top of C tier. I would say between these three. It sounds silly, but there is a time to use this. Of course, again, high scores. Let's say you have a mine with which re-triggers all hand or cards in hand, and then you have a Baron, which gives you the 1.5 mult per king. And we've talked about this on the channel. That is a great build to score lots of points. And obviously, if you have a bigger hand size, you can hold more kings, do more re-triggers, and get more mult to lead up to a bigger score. But even when you're trying to just win, there's been a couple times where this has kind of saved my butt, whether it's to make sure I get the cards I need to defeat a certain boss blind, or I am playing some kind of build even at higher stakes that requires my steals to be out, or you have a shoot the moon and you're acquiring or you're using those queens currently. This is not a bad tag, and it can be used as kind of that desperation to beat a boss blind. And I've utilized it a few times to win higher stakes runs, I think a couple times in purple and orange, and I have used it a bunch of times to get, crazy high scores, especially if you combo it with some double tags. So again, time and a place for it. I actually think you can find a use for Juggle. D6 in the next shop rerolls start at 0. I mean, I'm going to put in C. I think I'm underrating D6 because what this is giving you almost a completely free shop by allowing you to reroll. Now, granted, those are only the jokers that you're allowed to reroll, not the booster packs or anything. But the fact that you start at 0 so you can reroll 5 times for a total of, what would that be? $3, $6, $10, $15. That's pretty sick to reroll 5 times for $15. But at the end of the day, I don't think I utilize it very much because, again, you're skipping a whole shop that you normally would have, and again, you're losing out on some money by not playing the blind. And just compared to this other stuff where I just think the benefit is a little bit higher than leaving it up to chance and having a few more chances at that RNG. Again, whether it's high stakes or whether it's high scores and challenges, I don't know. I haven't really found a time and a place for these D6, but I think enough people have swayed me to just logically think about the math behind it, that it has a bit of worth. So to compromise, even though I haven't used it really almost at all, I do think it belongs in the C category, and that's more of me needing to optimize my game a bit more. Top up, create 2 common jokers if you have space. The amount of times this has absolutely saved my butt at higher stakes, if you get in antes 1, 2, or 3, is amazing. Very similar to the gain a free Mega Buffoon. Obviously, I think Mega Buffoon is higher because you get to select 2 of 4 and it can be uncommons or rares. Now, it's not guaranteed, but it can be, versus just getting 2 common ones. But it's still in the same realm. It's still A tier. It's 2 free jokers instantly in your joker slots that could help you. Speed gives $5 for each blind you've skipped. This is absolutely going in D tier. In general, in Balatro, you're not skipping too much, in my opinion. So you're not going to be getting a ton of money from this. That's all there is to it. Like, again, all of this is relative, but none of these are, you're skipping absolutely every single time for it. And really, in no run am I ever skipping that much that speed works itself up to be worth it. I mean, you would have to skip 5 times for it to equal investment tag. Now, granted, of course, you do get the money instantly, but, it's $25 versus $25. Hopefully I can beat the boss blind with my investment tag. So I have to skip 5 times prior in the game to make that worth it with speed. I don't know. I don't see it. And again, if you skip the big blind with this, you just have to beat the boss blind. It'd be very similar to skipping the big blind with this one. So all in all, not even comparable to investment tag in my opinion. Now, of course, it could be more than $25, but if you've skipped 6-7 times, this is a very specific build you're playing at this point, and kudos to you, but I've rarely found a use for it. Back very early in the game, I thought skipping was more viable, and I quickly learned it's not. And I was using it more, and now I can't remember the last time I clicked on the speed tag. Orbital upgrades a random poker hand 3 levels. This is definitely, I think, B, borderline C. A lot of times it's not going to be worth it. It's not going to be a poker hand you're playing, but when it does land on a poker hand that you are currently playing, or maybe you could be potentially playing, let's say you're playing a high card build, but still early on, and you could pivot to pairs and you get a pairs. Or you're playing a pair build and you can pivot to 2 pairs or 3 of a kinds or something like that. Because moving up 3 levels is massive. 3 planet cards is pretty darn important. Again, especially at higher stakes and especially early on in the game. I mean, this could help you clear all of Ante 2 even at gold stake difficulty without any jokers. If I can move a full house up 3 levels, all of a sudden I can play a couple full houses and beat that entire ante and give myself a little bit more breathing room to find the jokers I need. And then economy doubles your money. Pretty solid. I'm going to put it in the B tier. If I have, actually I'm going to put it in C tier, and let me explain why. You know, if I have $30, I can get $30. That's pretty nice. But the thing is, if I have $30, I'm maxing out my, again, interest. So I'm losing out on the 5, or depending on what you have, 10, 15, $20 of interest in seeing the shop to get money. And the fact that it's maxes out 40, if this thing didn't have a max, definitely B tier, maybe even A tier, because all of a sudden you can turn 100 into $200 or 120 into $240. I actually don't think that would be that broken. I think that would make it more viable. Right now, the fact that it's max out 40, oftentimes I'm getting $40 from a Temperance tarot card. So if I can find a Temperance in the shop, boom, I got all the money I was going to get from skipping anyway. And then, of course, all the other benefits that we've talked about multiple times. So this is my tier list, and I think it's interesting. Nothing landed in the S tier list. I even though I want to make all these relative, I do think they're fairly balanced right now. I think some are a little too weak, but none of them are also overpowered, or am I always skipping for them? Again, some of these are very viable, and I'm really glad they're in the game and they've saved my butt or done some cool things, but none of these am I putting in this S tier, which in my head would be basically like, I see it, I'm absolutely skipping, and just none of those currently align for that. And I've actually had that question in chat, like, is there any tags that you skip for no matter what every time? No, I think every single one of these is situational, albeit some way more situations do I use them in, and in those situations they're much more powerful. So in A tier we have the rare, the negative, the mega buffoon, and the creating 2 common jokers. In B tier we have the uncommon, the hollow, the polychrome, the investment, handy, and free shop. C tier we have the foil, we have the speed tag, or the economy tag, moving your poker hand up 3 levels, mega arcanas, having the larger hand size, the spectral, the double tag, and free rerolls. And then in the bottom tier we have the vouchers, the reroll, the boss line, mega standard pack, mega celestial pack, getting money for every unused discard, and then the speed, which gives you $5 per every skip you've had up until that point. I hope you enjoyed this tier list video. If you liked it, drop a like. If you did not, a dislike. Comment down below what tier list you want to see next. And finally, as always, don't be like Murphy and hit that subscribe button.
I'm not subscribed to Zaino on YouTube, and I'm sorry. There we go. We're subscribed. Subscription ad.